All right, guys, in today's YouTube video, I'm going to be interviewing Edgar and Yara with A&E Concrete. How long have you guys been in concrete for?
We have been in concrete for probably about 5 years, but in business for 6 months.
Okay, 6 months. And over the past 6 months, what have you guys already scaled to?
We went from 0 to 630,000.
Woo, that's impressive. Dang. So basically over 12 months, that'd be 1.2 million. Obviously, we're all in Colorado, just so everyone from YouTube understands. That's actually how I'm able to interview them. Most all of our clients are from around the US, but you guys are just, what, like 20 to 30 minutes away from me?
Yeah, this morning it was about 50 from the traffic.
Yeah, from our shop is actually in Johnstown. But anyways, so yeah, I just want to before we kind of get into it, we're going to get into some of the tactics on how they actually started their business, basically what they did, some of your guys' learning lessons, to either help inspire some other people to get into business or just to help people that are getting started with some of the things you guys have learned. Before we do that, I do want to rewind a little bit. Just talk to me a little bit about what brought you guys here. How did you guys end up in concrete?
We ended up in concrete because we started a landscape business in 2020. And during the landscape business, everybody was always asking for concrete patios. And we decided, hey, why not? Let's start up concrete. Went and learned a little bit about it and was able to manage it, and that's how we started in the concrete. But about 1.5 years ago, everything came to a screeching halt for us, and we lost absolutely everything. We were doing about 1.3 million a year, and everything complete halt, and we literally lost our acreage, our home. We had 5 vehicles that we lost. It went so far that we ended up in my in-laws' basement. So literally this time last year in 2024, we were in my mother-in-law's basement.
This time last year?
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually didn't even realize that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Man, and so when you guys actually went through that, when you say everything came to a screeching halt, what happened?
Business, revenue, there was no estimates coming in. A phone wasn't ringing anymore. We got every excuse in the book, right? Interest rates were at 9, 10, 11% interest rate. Everybody was holding on to their money. There was nothing going out. But again, everybody's economy is different. And I think the Lord was taking us through that for a reason. And through that, in my mother-in-law's basement, instead of me going back out to the world and trying to get out of reality, I got into the Word, and through the Word and the salvific message brought us to Jeremiah 29:11, and that's when you came on my feed. Mm-hmm. So through that, when I started believing that God was going to provide and that He had an expected end, He brought Concrete CEO. And so what I did is we took that leap of faith, which was one of the hardest decisions because we were just getting back on our feet. Mm-hmm. So the Lord provided a house for us in December 23rd of 2024. So we had been living there for about 4 months when you came on the feed. Mm-hmm. I talked to her about you, and I'm like, this guy's in Colorado. This guy's real. He's really doing it. I said, babe, I think this is our niche. We have to get back into concrete, at least starting that, because I was doing a full-time job as a construction manager.
That's true.
And then one thing different though this time is before we weren't doing marketing. So everything was just word of mouth.
So how did you guys get your work before?
Word of mouth.
Literally just from people memorizing your phone number, not even through
just
a GC.
Cards and stuff.
No GC.
No, everybody was just like, hey, this is the landscaper. We had some business card, we had some yard signs, but nothing like what you guys have been able to.
So did you guys do new builds then?
So we did about 150 units on new builds, and in that community, everybody started to hear our name, and so that's when they would call.
See, that's probably what happened then. Because I'm not sure about the rest of the people around the U.S., but where we're at, Colorado's been one of the hardest markets hit by new construction. That's totally fallen off with interest rates going up there. Mm-hmm. There's not as many new homes. And so when that happened, obviously if you're a landscaper that depends on that, it's there goes your line of work. And especially if you have no way to crank up ad spend or find other, because there's so much more than just people that obviously have new builds, which is what we're helping with you guys. But that's what I was genuinely not even sure how that happened, but that makes sense. I didn't even realize that you guys were just word of mouth.
Yeah, so, just word of mouth. And we tried marketing. Do you remember at the very end? Mm-hmm. But there's something so different and unique about Concrete CEO is that you specify, you're specific to our industry and what you're putting out there, you know exactly what you're doing and what the kind of clients that we're looking for. So that's what puts you apart from the other marketing company that we tried at the very end, because the other company that we tried at the very end just was not getting any leads or anything coming in. So completely set apart from everybody else.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, because I also want to be clear to the audience too, I think one of the reasons you guys have been so successful is it's not like it's your first rodeo. Because there's tons of other people that get into concrete or get into blue collar stuff, and they might even be getting leads and then they don't sell jobs, right? But you guys at least had some of that background, which is the only reason, by the way, that we even felt comfortable taking you guys on as a client. Because at first, like, so our salesman's name is Robbie, just so everyone has context, and Robbie's like, I just sold like the nicest couple. And I was like, and he's like, they don't have their name yet. And I was like, what are you doing, dude? He's like, well, it's because they've had like success, and he had to sell me on you guys. Because to be honest, we value our reputation in Concrete CO very seriously too. And the last thing that we want to do, I mean, you guys have been through, and you know, knock on wood for me, I guess there's wood right here, but I've never actually like failed that bad where I've had like, you know, houses and stuff. I'm actually like pretty risk averse. I save almost all my money. I'm such a hoarder with money. Sometimes it's actually bad, but like, it's just, I've seen that because I used to do marketing at actually a place right down the road called Marketing 360. And like, if someone loses their business, everything else goes along with it, their house, their cars. Right. And so I just want to make sure that if someone is joining in on us, that like they're actually going to be successful. And I can't guarantee any success, but when you guys joined, I mean, just like give the audience like a, I guess, bite of where you guys were at. Cause it was kind of funny. I legit got mad at our salesman because I was like, what are you doing? Yeah. And like, sure enough, you guys pulled through and you guys have crushed it. But I want them to understand like where you guys were at just 6 months ago. Like pretty insane.
So 6 months ago, he came to me after watching your video, and you know, I was more in the fearful because we had just, you know, failed in our last business. And we literally had to, well, as soon as he told me that we had to do a buy-in and there was, you know, money to go in that maybe we didn't have at the time, we were like, well, we're going to have to put it on credit cards. And so we literally ended up putting your buy-in on our credit cards. 2 or 3 different credit cards?
Yeah, 2 credit cards, 1 debit card, 3 cards.
Yeah.
Total. To do the buy-in. And again, shout out to Robbie.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for closing Tyler.
Yeah.
No, we are very appreciated. One thing that we did know is at the end of the day, everything that we went through in business, and when we lost everything, we just knew that this was different. And again, the Lord brought you guys to us, and it's called a leap of faith.
Well, it's like way beyond us. Like, and I want to make sure that people know that this is not meant to be an infomercial about Concrete CO. Like, really what I'm trying to do is help people, like, 1, like let them know that it's possible, but 2, give them some of the things, and we're going to get into that, some of the things you guys learned, what you guys do successfully, because not everyone like succeeds, right? And part of it's the marketing, but it's so far beyond that. I mean, look, you guys were able to do over $1 million in landscape without marketing. And marketing is great, but it's not like, that is not business. Like, it's like, it's about calling the leads back. And I remember, man, there's so many things, even like just some of the stuff that I told you guys that we'll get into to help the audience, because it's so far beyond that. But yeah, I just want to make sure that you guys know, you guys do not have to preach us. I'm more just trying to get the lessons and stories and all that. And so not only were you guys putting this on credit card, you have how many kids?
We have
3 girls.
3 beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this year, right, quinceañera.
Yeah, so that was I mean, I stopped counting after we got to about 35,000 for the party.
Yeah. You had to save up 35,000 for quinceañera. You guys were Edgar, full-time employee.
Yeah.
So you basically, when did you, like, because you basically had like a mutual parting with your employer how long ago?
It was the last week in August. So we've been on our own, been able to supplement our income for the last 2 months.
Yeah, so you guys did $400,000 in revenue while working full-time.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, what was that like? Just for like people that are afraid to like kind of make that switch, like talk about those first 4 months, even of like balancing work and a business. Like, how did you guys do it? Like, what were some of the ways you guys did it?
So I managed the leads and scheduling him, just making sure that he was getting to them after work on his timing. And so that's how we handled that part. And then he'd just go out, look at he'd do the job walks, send the estimates and stuff. And then make the sales, and then that's just how we carried for 4.
So would you do all the lead pre-qualification then?
Yeah.
So like if you got a lead, you would call them during the day,
Yep.
and then you would send Edgar.
And then I would, on our calendars, set them up with the lead's name, with their email, with the time, with the description, with their phone number, like everything just set for him to be able to succeed, to go to, he knew where he was going. And if I had a couple, 2 or 3 leads that day, he knew where he was going first, second, and third. And that's how we would go through.
So what about when you guys sold the job? Because see, I feel like selling it is actually like more the easy part.
Yeah.
Like how did you guys like actually do the work while you're at your job?
So when we started selling the jobs, again, my job starts at 6 a.m. Right. So leaving the house, getting everything ready, and making sure that she made sure that I had enough food for, 14, 16-hour day, because I wouldn't come home 7, 8 at night. We have a little bit more of a daytime during the season, but selling the first job, getting everything ready during the evening, walking the job with the guys that evening because they were going to start the next day, because I had to be at work at 6 a.m. in the morning. And again, full-time employee, I still wanted to be responsible and deliver where I was at. So that you finding ways, just again, relentlessly knowing that this is part of what you have to do to succeed. And again, evenings, nights, weekends, we did it.
Yeah, pretty impressive. I mean, that's really hard to do. Do you guys think that you guys did that the right way? Or do you think if someone's sitting, watching this video, do you think it makes more sense for them to like quit cold turkey or do it the way that you guys did it? Like what's been your experience? Because I quit cold turkey and I don't know if I'd really recommend that, but just kind of curious from your perspective.
I would say if you're willing to quit, you have to be ready to work, because if you're not, then you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what made us do the decision, is like, as soon as we knew he was quitting, we knew how much harder we were going to have to work to make it through.
So pick up the pace, because you're not having that income every week or every 2 weeks, depending on how your employer's paying you, and knowing that you have to make up for a lot more, because yes, your business is paying for itself, whether it's the marketing, the guys, the payroll, the equipment, whatever it is that you got. And again, we started with absolutely nothing. I was literally driving the company truck that we did not own, because it was part of our benefits is, hey, you get to drive this truck. And so we did that to get to the jobs with another logo of another company on the side. So I had to make sure I parked down the street.
Talk to the audience like a little bit, because I think a lot of people have so much fear of doing that because they have like imposter syndrome, and they just like, they let their kind of like fear get in the way of actually selling work because they don't feel real. Like, how did you guys get over that?
It's so the Word of God says that He did not put a spirit of fear in us. I mean, it's biblical, right? Depending on what your beliefs are, and ours is the Word of God, and so we believe that spirit of fear is the enemy trying to get us and decept us and keep us in that same 8 to 5 or 6 to 3, whatever it is that you're doing. And when we did this leap of faith, we decided to do it, and you walk up with the same amount of confidence that you would anywhere else. Park down the street, or like I did, I would make sure that it wasn't in sight, and I made sure that I walked up like we've been owning this forever, right? Especially the way the marketing comes out, you have to respond the way it's very professional. Everything that you guys say on there, you got to make sure that you know your product, know what you guys are saying, so when you're there, you're able to talk to them and relate to them about how they were able to send you the information in the first place. So
when you guys signed up with us, you didn't have your company name picked out. I remember I talked to you guys out of A&E Construction.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, if you guys do start a business, you want the name of whatever you're doing in your actual business name, right? And you guys were almost about to go down the trap of you're like, well, we know how to do pergolas and this and that. And I'm like, well, if you try to sell everything to everyone, then you'll sell nothing to anyone.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely.
And so, like, literally even just simple things like having your name in there. But I think that's where you guys were able to succeed, where honestly a lot of people fail, is sales isn't necessarily even about selling. It's literally 90% confidence.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you're your own worst enemy when you go out and do a sales call. And I think that's why you guys have been able to be so successful. Because, without even, when you first started, a name, working for someone else, no company truck, no branded apparel. Like, we still haven't even been able to get your guys' Google business profile, which is crazy. That's been a total nightmare. Yeah, so no reviews.
No.
Like nothing. And you're convincing people to do big projects. Like you guys just sold, like you guys were telling me about, like tell the audience about some of the jobs they were selling with still honestly not a great foundation. Like it's like decent, but there's so much that we could do better.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the confidence and knowing your product, knowing your service, and making sure you deliver what you said you're going to deliver. We have project that's going middle of November. That's 64,000, and we'll be able to get that done within 4 to 5 days. We had one at 72. We had another one at 54. I mean, and all of this was without any of that foundation that people think that they might need.
Yeah, and you guys have a professional website, all that we're able to build for you guys, but there's still so many things that we like need to get rolling for you guys. And that's the thing is, so that's what I'm trying to get across to people, because some people, at least in my opinion, and I want you guys to talk about this, they get stuck in analysis paralysis, right? They're waiting for the perfect time to start a business, or until everything, like, oh, how am I going to sell a job if I don't have this or that, or I don't have 30 reviews, or I don't have a branded car, and all that stuff helps, but most of it is like, what would you say are some of your biggest sales tips? Confidence. What else?
Confidence. Always walking up, making sure that your presentation is good, right? So depending on what you look like when you're walking up, again, just speaking, right? What you're using to actually communicate.
I think for you too is that you let your clients know that you know what you're talking about too. So you need to know what you're selling.
Yeah.
You know?
And at the same time, knowing what their vision is, right? Letting the client talk, asking them questions, building that relationship, and letting them have that warm and fuzzy feeling so that they know that you're there to actually listen and care for what their needs are actually at, because you're there to solve their problem. And they have a problem where they need concrete, and you're going to fix it. And so you got to make sure you stand out over the rest of the competition.
Yeah, and looks is part of that, but it's certainly not everything.
Correct.
It's certainly not everything. And Yara, I think you're selling yourself a little bit short. I do want to make sure that I mention, I mean, well, in the very beginning, right? The sales starts when you get a lead. A lot of people think that the sales starts when you show up at the job site. That is so far from reality. Because like they say the first impression is everything, right? And so the first impression is not when you show up. It's like, okay, when we fill out a form, how fast do they get back in touch with me? Are they nice when they talk to me on the phone? Are they kind? Do they schedule me quick? Like, how easy are you to work with? And all of that builds into like their overall confidence of buying from you guys. And all the other stuff helps. The brand, the website, getting reviews, like having more content on social media, like all of that helps, but it's all one big thing. And that's why I think you're selling yourself short, Yara. I mean, in the very beginning, like you have to still convince people that you could even help them and get them scheduled for the on-site. And that's another thing that I want to talk about too. So at least I don't get to work with you guys all the time. You guys work with my brother, Vince. But I remember in the very beginning, I think you guys were even like struggling to get in touch with a lot of leads. And like, do you guys remember what I told you guys? I can share.
Oh, yeah. Because I think you had asked me in one of the trainings,
one of the live calls.
One of the live calls, and it was, how long do you take to?
Well, because what you said, I was like, well, do you get in touch with your leads fast? And you said, yeah. I was like, okay, well, what does fast mean to you? You're like, and what did you say?
I think I said end of day.
Yeah, you said by the end of day.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy is that was me mindset. But when we were running our other businesses, because I forgot that my wife gets a hold of them instantly.
I did,
and 60%, you're absolutely right. 60 to 70% of our clients, whenever I go up to them and do an estimate, they say, hey, Yaraldine is phenomenal. I can't believe how quick she got a hold of us, how quick we were able to get scheduled, and you actually showed up when she told us you would. So you're absolutely right. It all starts at the very beginning.
Yeah, and literally selling isn't even the words. It's like there's so many things beyond that. It's like I said, how fast you get back to someone. Because if it's hard for them to give you money, then there is no way that they're going to believe that you're going to stand behind your work. If it's a pain to buy from you, then there's no way. Like, how would you ever trust that? And so it's speed. It's the way that you talk. It's the way that you present yourself. It's your confidence. It's listening to your clients, like what you were saying. I mean, how many contractors, and you probably hear stories all the time. If you guys have one that comes to mind, we could share it. where when you're out on a job walk and like someone's like, oh, someone told me to do this, and they're very directive versus letting the client buy what they want. Do you have any sample stories to share from that, or like anything that comes off the top of your mind? If not, we can move on.
Well, nothing that comes off the top of my head. I mean, I'm pretty sure we got a bunch, but this is our first interview. Super nervous.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, okay. So that was kind of getting started. That was like the story. Talk to the audience a little about like what were some of the most challenging things with starting your business, would you say? Like, what were some of the biggest hurdles you guys had to overcome over the last 6 months?
The time it took into the business, just because he had that other job. Me as a spouse, I had to be willing to hold down the house while he was gone all day. Like, I guess just being, or if I can say to any spouses out there or any wives, support your husband, because at the end of the day, how you support him is going to show out as, at work and what he's doing out there. So I think that's the biggest hurdle in the business. But
yeah, I think I honestly think that we probably left work a little later than what we should have. Because of the demand of the work that was coming in. We probably could have taken on so much more. But it was that fear that tries to convince you that, hey, it's not the right time. You don't have what you need. And again, we did this with absolutely no money. Right, we were just getting by. We had a job that was just paying us enough to make it, and we were comfortable. We could have been there for a long time, but then my daughter wouldn't have had a quinceañera. But see, the Lord was telling us that He was going to provide a lot more through you guys and through us partnering up and getting over that fear. So we finally did it in August, but I still believe that we did it a little late. But if I can encourage anybody here is, hey, you don't have to have. It's never going to be the right time. You don't have to have everything that you think you're going to need. And if you have that leap of faith, you do it, you jump, and know when it's the right time to go. If you know that your business is demanding more from you, don't hold back. Like, be more in the business. And we ended up holding back in our business because I was providing more, building somebody else's dreams than our own.
Yeah, which I will say, I agree. But also, like, now that I've been in business for 8 years and I've survived, like, not that I've survived anything crazy, but a lot of ups and downs, it's always good to be safe. I don't think and what you always have to remember, it's kind of like, man, like, I remember investing back in crypto in like 2021, and I'd like look back and I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have been so scared back then, and this and that. But then you just realize there's always money-making opportunities. And so I look at like business as like, it's like the only type of gambling that you can do where the odds are basically in your favor. But with that being said, even if you have a 90% chance of winning every single hand, like imagine if you play roulette and the odds are in reverse, where 30 out of the 32, you win. Well, guess what? If you go all in, eventually, right, it's going to hit green and then you'd lose. So I will say that I actually think, because I remember I was the one trying to convince you guys, it's better safe than sorry. And you want to have your bases covered because you might have missed out on some upside, but you definitely avoided some potential downside that you don't know. Yeah. And so upside can always come, right? This is a long game. You guys have only been in this for 6 months, right? Like, how long do you guys want to own your business for?
As long as possible.
Yeah, as long as possible.
Right? Would you give a shot to one of your guys' babies that could maybe turn them like smarter, but it had a 1% chance of killing them? Probably not. No. Right? And your business is your baby, right? So that's the way that I have developed, at least for me, over the course of time, of how I look at business. I don't just look at the upside. You do have to look at like the little things you could do. And even if it's a 5% chance, 10% chance, you just want to be mindful of it because you never want to put your baby at harm of potentially dying. At least in the very beginning, you have less to lose, right? Because worst case, like, this is the other thing that I want people to realize, like, worst case, if you guys would have failed, like, your life probably wouldn't have changed that much. Like, you just would have restarted and you would have been set back another year. Yeah. Like, it's not like it would have been like the worst thing ever. It just would have really not been fun. Yeah. What gave you guys the courage to try again? Because there's a lot of people that start businesses, and just so the audience knows, how many businesses have you guys had? Beyond the landscaping.
Beyond the landscaping, I think we've had a handful, probably about 5 businesses.
You were saying trucking, multi-level marketing, a gym, all kinds of stuff. So like, what gives you guys the courage to keep coming back and like give it another whirl?
One's gonna hit.
Yeah.
One has to be it.
Honestly,
quit.
and again, we're huge on faith, and it's just telling us that the lifestyle that we were living wasn't for us. And also the lifestyle that I want to provide for my wife and for my daughters isn't for us. And also the Word of God says that a smart man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So there's more to that than just spiritual salvation. And then you have that inheritance that you can build on. So I'm just trying to put my family in a position where if something did happen, that we were able to be there for them in any sort of way.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you guys wish that your younger selves would have known that you know about business now? And not even like 6 months ago, because I mean, look at all the businesses you guys had that didn't go as well. And really all of those opportunities could have worked. The difference is really just how you guys are acting now, the action you're taking, and the skill set that you have. So what are some of the things that you wish, like if you could have went back in time and told your much younger selves, like what are some of those things that you think that you guys could have passed down?
I think for me, running into you guys was a big help, just because you guys have systems in place too. And back then, maybe we didn't have those systems in place. You guys know what works, and all we had to do is follow those systems because they work.
Amen. Yeah, the blueprint was already there.
Yeah.
Which was huge. It was not just the marketing, depending on what package you get. You bring all the leads in, and you actually have a place for each one of them, and following them all the way through up until you say, hey, you know, this is the thank you card or whatever after everything is all completely done, and you don't miss a beat. You don't let anybody fall through the cracks.
And so instead of it being about Concrete CO, like I'll just reframe that. So again, so people could do whatever they want. Yeah. But this is how I start businesses now. Because in the beginning, I was like you guys, and I see a lot of people doing it. I do think it's a very common mistake, is they try to figure everything out themselves. Yeah. When in reality, like this is like, I'll share this, and I've shared this a couple times, but it's still like one of the things that like, it was a huge light bulb moment for me, is when someone was like, well, what's the most expensive thing in your business? It's like, oh, labor. And they're like, that's not it. And I was like, materials. They're like, nope. They're like, keep going. And I was like, insurance, this, and they're like, no. And I was like, I don't know. And then they're like, you want to know what it is? It's like, yeah. And they're like, it's ignorance. I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, they're like, do you know how to make $1 million a year? I was like, no. They're like, well, that ignorance of not knowing how to make $1 million a year costs you $1 million minus whatever you're making right now. And like, when I heard that, it was so revolutionary for me, because I really realized that when I was starting businesses, I was trying to figure everything out myself, right? And you don't even have to buy a course. Like, even just congratulate the people here watching like the YouTube video, is seeking knowledge, so that way you don't have to relearn all the same mistakes. And then with that being said, also having the courage to listen to people, because a lot of people, right, they hear stuff, or like I was just laughing, I was telling you guys about some of our haters on social media, and they're like, oh, this is so stupid, and keyboard warriors, but they're probably broke out there. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you guys other than I just wish that you guys can learn from what I have to say and others, because there's so much knowledge out there, but you can't have that like part of your brain. Because like younger you, like if I would have talked to younger you guys, and like forget Concrete CO, just say marketing, because really that's what it is, just marketing and systems. Like if I would have said you guys should market 5 years ago, what would your reaction been to that?
What is it?
We know how to do it.
Yeah, we know how to do it.
Yeah, you would have been like, oh, that's stupid. Or like, it's just like it's so weird, because humans have this like innate thing where like you just immediately think everything's BS. I'm not sure what it is. Like I had the same things. Like mine was more because I believed in marketing around charging, right? Around charging higher prices. And I remember I used to be like, oh, my competitors, they're such ripoffs, they're such losers. And then realizing, right, it took me 2 to 3 years to learn, instead of just realizing that they were smarter than me. I thought I was smarter than them. And I had a worse service than them, a worse product. And I said, well, how? And then someone's like, well, how are you supposed to have a good product? Yeah. They're like, you don't charge enough. How are you supposed to have a good service? And I had to rewire my entire brain to like, I could have saved many, many years had I just been willing to listen. Yeah, and that's absolutely hard. To be fair, you also don't want to listen to people. You know, you do have to be cautious. Okay, so there's that one. I think that's great, right? So you guys learned about skipping ahead by like getting info so you don't have to go through all the pains. What else?
The help with breaking down and knowing our numbers at the end, because again, we were just charging by the square foot, and not every job is the same. And I know every job is not the same, but because in concrete that is so common out here, trying to break it down and actually explain it to clients, because also clients, that's all they know, because that's what they've been told, right? Educating the client on, hey, this isn't a per square foot job. And I mean, you can break it down that way. Yeah, of course, after you see the final price or whatever, but you got to explain everything that's going to go into their project. And once you educate them and they're like, oh man, the other competition that came didn't explain all this to me. They just said, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, whatever it is. And then they said, have a nice day, see you later. Educate the client on why the project is what it is. And that helps out a bunch too. So knowing the numbers was big.
Cool. Yeah, that was a huge turning point for myself too. Yeah. And I mean, you guys had this, like, how did you guys get the confidence? Because where I think I see a lot of people struggles, like a lot of people can't sell $60,000 jobs, $70,000 jobs. Where did you guys get that confidence to even say that number? When I first got into sales, I would never be able to say that number. I was literally too afraid. So how, like, what could you tell the audience? Like, how did you guys get around that so fast?
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say that just taking on even the smaller jobs and building up to that, because it starts out as smaller jobs, but then you keep climbing, and then you'll eventually get to that big number too, when you're confident enough that where you've sold those smaller numbers, you're confident enough to sell that bigger number.
Absolutely. It's just you treat that, the higher multiple 1,000 number jobs the same way you would a $5,000, a $10,000 job, and you make them and then you make those $5,000 jobs feel as if they were $60,000 jobs. You treat everybody the way they're supposed to be treated, and you serve them at a high quality. And just knowing when you say those numbers, at the end of the day, it's, 64,000 isn't going into your pocket. Like there's a lot that has to come out before it actually you make any profit or anything on your margins. And so you got to realize that when you say those numbers, there's still a lot that has to be put out. So knowing that when you're going up to the client and being confident that, hey, you're going to give them the best, no matter if the other guy was, $10,000 less.
Yeah. Knowing your numbers helps, because you can be confident in that, because otherwise, like, you just feel like you're ripping someone off. So literally just understanding all the costs. Because I remember my first ever big job was a 1,400 square foot driveway, and I charged like $8K. Because like I was too scared, and it was literally, but that was more out of my fear of just saying a big number, because I didn't think it was possible that someone would have more than $8K in their bank.
Yeah,
I didn't, because I didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, "There's no way. Like, how could someone do $10,000 on a job?"
Yeah,
and that was like literally just out of my own head trash. So, okay, anything else that you guys have as far as like learning lessons? So you guys have the numbers. You guys have like just skipping a lot of the pain by the systems, marketing.
Anything else? No. I think that's it. Like I said, it was a lot easier because you guys have the blueprint. Follow the steps. Don't try to recreate anything. Don't
be scared to ask too,
Yeah.
because you guys know it, we don't. So
and if anything that like honestly anything that we ran into or had a question about, we immediately either send email via Slack or text or whatever it is, and we were able to get an answer. And we you have an entire company, an entire team behind you. That gives also the confidence that you're going to make it.
Yeah. And even someone in a different industry, if it's not concrete, if they're a painter or a landscaper, just having a mentor, just in general.
Yeah.
Is huge.
And again, we didn't have mentors.
No.
We thought, again, 5 years ago, if you would have asked us and somebody said marketing, we would have been like, oh, what a waste of money, or something like that. But in the marketing, and again, in Concrete CEO, we have mentors. We have everybody that's put together for us, and you work together to make it happen.
All right, well, that's sweet. So now that you guys have like went through all that, been in business for 6 months, like what does life look like now? I guess like comparatively, like now compared to 6 months ago.
I think there's been a growth for sure. Learning growth is like important to us, but financially also, it's been well. just got an Escalade about 3 months ago, right? Yeah. Which is pretty nice ride, you know.
Yeah.
But
So life from when we started to now, again, we, and another part of our testimony is that we started with absolutely nothing, but yet before we started with Concrete CEO back in February, we started leaving deposits for my daughter's quinceañera. And a quinceañera is not cheap, right? And we had, again, we were living comfortably, but we were just getting by. Like we were paying the bills. We had enough to maybe see a movie or go out to dinner as a family and stuff like that. But nothing that we were going to be able to pay for an extravagant quinceañera, because everything is super expensive. And a quinceañera could run you anywhere from 20 to 30, even sometimes $40,000. But we were leaving $100, $200, $300 deposits because we had faith that the Lord was going to bring something big, something huge, something we couldn't even begin to fathom. And at the end of the day, we ran across Concrete CEO. Life completely changed, where we were able to pay that off within 3 months. I stopped counting because it was just kind of driving me crazy, but I think the quinceañera was right around $35,000. Completely paid that off. And still able to save some money through the winter, because as everybody knows here in Colorado, it's very slow during the winter. We were able to do that. We were able to buy her dream car.
What about like outside of like financially? Like how's it like working for yourself over someone else? Like instead of someone else?
I think there's more freedom to where somebody else won't put a cap on you and overwork you, like kind of like they were doing in some places. But I think you have that freedom of being able to make what you want to make, you know.
Yep, complete freedom. Be able to, if your kids need you for anything. We had a couple of calls that we had to go and to my girls at school for certain things, not having to worry to ask for permission, just being able to do that and make the decision. And again, either you're working for somebody and building their dreams, or you work for yourself and build yours.
Yeah. What would you guys say to someone that's on the fence of either starting their own business, or maybe they're like, they've started a business, but they haven't like fully dove in? Like, what would you guys have to say to like that person, or like any word of advice?
I think diving in is what's going to make the big change. If you want to see that growth in your business, you're going to have to go all in.
Yeah, I definitely say if you're thinking about starting, again, depending on where you're at, what your beliefs are, we're huge on faith, and I'll repeat it. Everything comes through a salvific message that we do, and because the Word of God was telling us there is no spirit of fear, made that jump and actually realize who's actually providing, which is the Lord, and just doing everything you possibly can to be responsible and steward the blessing that He's given you, and knowing that when, you know, whatever you guys are deciding to do, for us, it was Concrete CEO. He showed us the door. He even opened it, but it was up to us to take that step by step to be able to walk through. You still got to make that decision because it's our will. Yeah. That's what makes us different from everything else, from every other creature in the world, is what is your will? Is your will to give the best for your family? Are you willing to take that chance? And again, if not, are you going to live in regret? What's it going to be like on your deathbed? How are you going to live? What are you going to say?
That's true. That's the way that I like to make my decisions. What would I regret more? Like on my deathbed, like trying and failing, or never trying? Yeah. And always it's trying and failing. Yeah. As a worst case.
Yeah.
Because like, man, we get one life. So definitely agree. And by the way, I keep saying this. You guys are giving way too much credit to us. You guys did this. We just helped with the marketing. And so I just want to make sure people know, really all we did is just help you guys out with some of the direction and some of the marketing, which that can come from multiple sources. It's more like, if you're going to have a business, like how would you guys have had a business without leads?
No, we wouldn't.
No
so
business.
You have to have leads, right? So just like having that plan of like, how are you going to get leads? How are you going to sell them? Like, how are you going to like fulfill on the work? And like, if you have that, that's basically a business. You have to have a way to collect money and a way to like sell someone a service. And that's really it. And the faith to actually like do it, and having the confidence when you're presenting. It's actually pretty simple. So I appreciate you guys being on here. Again, Edgar and Yara with A&E Concrete. If anyone ever wants to reach out to you guys, do you mind if we like plug your guys' Instagram down below?
No. We're fine. Reach out. Any questions? We're here to help. Definitely.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.